Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. At Bad Blood, Roman Reigns teamed up with Cody Rhodes to take on common enemies in the form of the Bloodline at Bad Blood 2024. The former rivals defeated Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu with the help of returning Jimmy USO, who took out Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. However, following the match, The Rock stunned the world when he made his much-awaited return. The final boss did not utter a word after his return as he stood on the entrance ramp and set his eyes on Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and Jimmy USO. Before leaving, the 52-year-old WWE legend counted to 3 on his fingers and made a slit-throat gesture. The final boss comeback has opened new doors that are more exciting for the Bloodline saga. Jimmy USO has acknowledged his original tribal chief, Roman Reigns, and they have officially announced war against the solo-led stable. Jimmy is currently trying to get help from his twin brother, Jey USO, in their battle against the Bloodline. However, there could be a shocking twist in the saga. The Rock is rumored to be the man behind the new Bloodline, and given his power in the company, it is highly probable that the final boss could order Big Jim to betray the OTC. The point is that Jimmy USO returned just before the final boss returned. Even Solo Sikoa mentioned that this is all part of the plan, strongly hinting that Jimmy could be the backstabber. The Rock could promise Jimmy that he will be treated well in the new Bloodline and point out how Reigns treated him in the past compared to his younger brothers. First, the OTC chose Jey to be his right-hand man, and then, despite his effort and dedication, he picked Solo as his tribal heir. This could lead to USO turning on the former undisputed WWE champion once again. This turn could lead to the highly anticipated clash between Roman Reigns and The Rock and also allow Jimmy and Jey to have a proper feud down the road. When will Roman Reigns wrestle again after Bad Blood 2024? Roman Reigns wrestled in his first match at Bad Blood 2024 since losing his title at WrestleMania 40. The OTC secured a big win at the Atlanta event after he pinned Solo Sikoa. However, fans now wonder when they will see Reigns in action next. According to a report, Reigns will definitely compete at Survivor Series, War Games 2024, and all the clues point to a possible War Games match between the Roman-led original Bloodline and the Solo-led Bloodline at the Premium Live event. In the coming weeks, we might see some emotional returns and reunions. It will be interesting to see what Triple H and company have in store for the Bloodline saga. The betrayal, Jimmy USO's decision to turn on Roman Reigns. In the heart of WWE's most gripping storylines, the tension between Roman Reigns and his cousins, Jimmy and Jey USO, has reached an all-time high. With the bloodline fractured and every move carrying weight, Jimmy's growing animosity toward Roman has become more apparent. But what's fueling Jimmy's desire to betray the man once seen as the head of the family? The shocking answer comes down to one major reason: a 52-year-old WWE legend who has returned to offer Jimmy advice that could alter the course of the Bloodline saga. The legend's influence, enter Booker T, a two-time Hall of Famer and one of the most decorated wrestlers in WWE history, has seen it all. He's battled legends, mentored young talent, and knows the importance of family within wrestling. As a 5-time WCW champion and a 6-time world champion overall, Booker T's words carry weight, and his presence backstage has always been respected by the roster. While many assumed Booker T was simply enjoying his semi-retirement and his commentary role, no one expected him to become deeply entangled in the Reigns USO dynamic. But this wasn't just any ordinary involvement. Booker T had seen the cracks forming in the bloodline and sought to guide Jimmy before it was too late. In a backstage segment that aired a few weeks ago, Booker T was spotted having a serious conversation with Jimmy. Initially, it seemed like casual advice from a legend to a rising star, but as their interactions grew more frequent, fans began to speculate that something bigger was brewing. It wasn't long before Jimmy started distancing himself from Roman and openly questioning his cousin's leadership. The seeds of doubt had been planted by Booker, but what was his motive? Booker's warning, "Don't let Roman use you." Booker T had been watching Roman's rise to power for years, and though he respected Roman's dominance, he also saw how it was affecting his family. In one pivotal conversation, Booker laid it out for Jimmy: "Roman's using you, man. He's using your loyalty to build his empire, and when he's done, he'll toss you aside like everyone else. Trust me, I've seen this before. Don't be the guy who looks back and regrets putting someone else's legacy above your own." Those words hit Jimmy hard. For years, he had followed Roman, trusting that his cousin was leading the bloodline to greatness. But now, doubts crept in. Was he just a pawn in Roman's grand plan? Had his own legacy been sacrificed to further Roman's? Booker T's warning lingered in Jimmy's mind, and it wasn't long before those doubts turned into resentment. Roman's arrogance, a catalyst for betrayal. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns, fully aware of the growing tension within the bloodline, had become increasingly arrogant. His focus shifted away from maintaining family unity and toward ensuring his own reign as the undisputed champion continued. Roman's interactions with Jimmy became more dismissive, and the once unbreakable bond between them began to fray. In several confrontations, Roman belittled Jimmy's concerns. "You think you can lead, Jimmy? You think you can take my place? You're nothing without me." Roman would shout during family meetings, asserting his dominance and reminding everyone that he was the tribal chief. These constant insults only fueled Jimmy's desire to prove Roman wrong. Booker T's words echoed in his mind. This was no longer about family, it was about survival. Jimmy realized that if he didn't make a move soon, Roman would continue to use him until there was nothing left of his own career. The plan, a swerve for the ages as WWE headed into its next major pay-per-view event, fans speculated that the tensions between Jimmy and Roman would come to a head. But no one expected the twist that was about to unfold. In a classic WWE swerve, Jimmy didn't simply turn on Roman out of nowhere. He devised a plan to make Roman believe that the bloodline was still united, right until the perfect moment to strike. In the weeks leading up to the event, Jimmy played the role of the loyal cousin, backing Roman in his matches and even helping him retain his title against major opponents. The WWE Universe was convinced that any hint of betrayal was gone, and Jimmy had reconciled with his role in the bloodline. But behind the scenes, Jimmy was working closely with Booker T, planning his ultimate betrayal. The night of the pay-per-view arrived, and Roman Reigns was set to defend his title in the main event. The match was grueling, with Roman barely hanging on against his challenger. Just when it looked like Roman might lose, Jimmy appeared, seemingly to help his cousin once again. The crowd erupted, believing Jimmy was there to save the tribal chief. But then, in a shocking twist, Jimmy hit Roman with a superkick, laying him out in the middle of the ring. The WWE Universe was in disbelief. Jimmy Uso, the man who had stood by Roman's side for years, had just betrayed him in the most public and dramatic way possible. As Roman lay unconscious in the ring, Jimmy stood over him, glaring down with a mixture of anger and satisfaction. The bloodline had been shattered, and Jimmy had made his choice. The aftermath, a new era for Jimmy Uso. In the weeks that followed, Jimmy addressed his betrayal in a fiery promo. "I'm done being used. I'm done being Roman's puppet. Booker T opened my eyes to the truth. Roman doesn't care about family, he cares about power. And I'm not going to sacrifice my career for his ego anymore." With those words, Jimmy officially declared his independence from the bloodline. He was no longer content to be in Roman's shadow, he wanted to build his own legacy. Booker T continued to mentor Jimmy behind the scenes, guiding him through this new chapter of his career. And while Roman Reigns would eventually recover from the betrayal, he knew that the bloodline was no longer the unstoppable force it once was. The swerve explained the decision to have Booker T influence Jimmy's betrayal added a layer of complexity to the storyline. Booker's presence gave the betrayal depth, showing that it wasn't just about family drama, it was about legacy, mentorship, and the harsh realities of the wrestling business. Jimmy's decision wasn't made on a whim, it was the result of weeks of manipulation and careful planning, culminating in one of the most shocking betrayals in WWE history. As WWE fans debated the implications of Jimmy's actions, one thing was clear: the bloodline, as it once was no more. And Jimmy USO was ready to step out of the shadows and take control of his own destiny.